Your Eminence, thank you for all your work on behalf of the Knights, and thank you for being here on KnightCast.
Jonathan, it's a joy to be with you. I appreciate the invitation, and it's always good to be with Brother Knights, you bet.
Hey, you've been doing a lot for us lately, and I want to talk about some of those things. So you spoke at our national convention, which you know is our big gathering, all of our leadership, thousands of Knights together, and you addressed us at a keynote, which was a lot of fun, but also a serious topic. It was on religious liberty, and I wonder if you could just tell me why that's so important that we hear that message right now.
Well, thanks for asking. I was honored to address the Supreme Convention. I had the honor about a decade ago, and I was grateful that they asked me back. Usually I hope that once they ask me to speak, they're never going to ask me again, but apparently that didn't work this time. I know they asked me because Dolly Parton turned him down in Nashville, so they asked if I would come on. So I did my Garth Brooks impersonation. I love the Knights, so just to be there is always uplifting for me. But when the Supreme Knight, Patrick Kelly, said, "You speak about what you want," and I said, "Darn it, I'm going to speak about religious freedom." Why? Well, first of all, I happen to be chair of the Bishops' Committee on Religious Freedom, so there was kind of a self-serving agenda there. But secondly, you got to remember, Jonathan and Brother Knights, that the Knights of Columbus have been on the vanguard of protecting religious freedom from the beginning. If you think about it, one of the reasons that Blessed Father Michael McGivney founded the Knights was because really the civil rights and certainly the religious sensitivities of the Catholics at the time, who were at that time heavily Irish immigrants, were not being respected in a country that pledged to build itself upon religious freedom as the first of the foundational freedoms mentioned in the Constitution. So the Irish were looked down upon. There were unfair hiring practices. There was freedom of association was somewhat limited. They were very poor. They did not have access to some of the other socially medicinal programs that were that were going on at the time. And Father McGivney said, I need to really gather my people and give them a sense of dignity and cohesion, and so that together they can advance in this American culture and protect their own religious values while showing again, as Blessed Father McGivney always encouraged, that we can be as loyally, responsibly patriotic Americans as anybody else. And pretty much, especially, what would it have been, 30 years or so after the foundation of the Knights were on the forefront, for instance, of protecting religious freedom of Catholics in Mexico, who were under tremendous persecution. During the era of fascism, the Knights again were on the vanguard of protecting religious freedom throughout the world. That really became muscular after the Second World War with the communist hegemony, where the Knights of Columbus once again were on the front lines of protecting the freedom of our co-religionists across the world, particularly in Central and Eastern Europe. I rejoice, for instance, that now the Knights of Columbus are so young and growing and strong in Poland, for instance, because that would have been one of the countries where we had said, we're with you here. So this was kind of a down-home kitchen table topic, if you ask me, for the Knights of Columbus. And my major point, Jonathan, was this. It was kind of philosophical. It was I asked them, I said, why do you think that totalitarian bullies across the globe, the first right that they attack is religious freedom? Because a tyrant, a bully, it's all, Jonathan, as I brought out in the talk, it's all because of that kind of punchy word, totalitarianism. They want total control. They want absolute control. And if they sense that their people have any allegiance or any loyalty to anyone outside of the state, they are ticked off and they want to get rid of them. That's totalitarianism. Where in the United States, we believe that it's religious freedom that gives rise to all those other fundamental protections of liberty. In a way, it's a backhanded compliment to us in the United States when totalitarian tyrants beyond would first attack religious liberty. They know what our founders knew, that religious liberty gives rise to a sense that our freedoms come not from some government. Our freedoms come from the God in whom we have the freedom to worship and publicly express our religion. They know that a vibrant internal practice of the faith in all its diversity is always going to be good for democracy. Well, they don't want democracy, all right? They don't want freedom. They want to be in charge. That was my major thrust. Now, I also said, by the way, I didn't spend a lot of time on it because we've talked about that enough. I said, even that's being chipped away here in the United States, as we see some in political authority who resent the role of religion in the public square. That's another matter.